Hi, I'm author Ingrid Stab, and if you haven't already watched the first half of this video, go and check that out. And in there, I give an introduction to why this is so important for either your annual performance review or your self-review or both in your conversation with your manager. And we are now up to type 5. So if you are a type 5, then the way that you are really indispensable is how you acquire not only acquire knowledge, but acquire very complex knowledge and are able to grasp complex knowledge way beyond most of your coworkers in terms of how detailed and deep and the depth to which the information is that you have learned in a particular area. So you could eventually break off on your own and make big bucks just on for your knowledge alone. But right now, assuming that you're still in a corporate setting, I would say you're already a go-to, like your manager already knows you're very knowledgeable and very competent, so that's not a problem. And perhaps what you do need to do, though, is you almost need to channel your inner type 3, which may be the dead opposite of how you like to operate in terms of achieving a successful image. So you may not care that much about your image, but it is important for your self-review and your performance review. So that's really good if you're watching this video. Definitely gain some knowledge about how to create a more effective review and how to have a more effective conversation with your manager. So you're going in there armed with some of the tips and tricks that you may not normally be too interested in, because it might just feel like polish as opposed to like depth, but the polish is important right now. And yeah, I guess you're going to have to really toot your own horn, perhaps more than you usually do, and know it's going to be about being an expert and having deep knowledge. Like it's going to be something about that, but just make sure that you have like a little bit of like a marketing plan for yourself about that, and aligning your knowledge with how that aligns with how that's benefiting your manager. So you almost want to also channel your inner 2 helper. So go back to my first video and look at the 2 helper and the 3 achiever. And you want to bring some of that in to see how are you meeting the needs of your manager? How are you meeting the needs of the organization? Maybe other times you don't want to have to think about it too much, but right now is the time to think about that for your conversation with your manager, and then articulate that as clearly as you can, how you were helping, and how does this fit with the overall goals of the organization. So hopefully that's helpful to you. And now I'm going to talk about the type 6. And as a type 6, kind of like the type 5, you're already very much respected for your competence, your exactness, and how you could be exacting about the details at times, which is at times very helpful. It makes you competent. And let's see. There's a part of you that doesn't completely trust the authority. So be aware that you vacillate more than other types in terms of your relationship with your manager and with the organization. So so that can be aware of that, and know that there's a side of you that's totally sucking up to the organization and is going to help you. And then there's a side of you that is not trusting, and that part could be potentially less useful to you in your conversation with your manager, and the way that you're marketing yourself in your annual review. So just be aware of that and kind of check with yourself how you are feeling about your manager and about the greater organization right now. And really it's going to be important for you to do a little bit of a practice of gratitude, gratitude towards yourself, gratitude towards your manager, gratitude to your organization. Do a little bit of that before you complete your self-review and complete your conversation with your manager, because that's going to keep you more in the right mindset for the, as opposed to getting in a mindset where you're feeling fear and doubt, which is fine. Fear and doubt can help you in your work. But right now for this, you want to be in gratitude as much as possible in this process. And know that there's some things that you can control and some things that you can't control. So there's only so much that you can like strategize and control about how things are going to go with your review. And what makes you indispensable, which I didn't say up front, but what makes you indispensable is something to do with mitigating risk. So know, and you probably already kind of know this, that your boss is trusting you to cover them in some way, and they appreciate you for that. So make sure that that is really clear, whether you're covering your boss, whether you're covering the organization. You are making things trustworthy. You're making things, you're managing any kind of risk that's there. And so you want to really play up the ROI of that, the benefit and the impact of that. So that risk, I mean, for some of you, your job totally has to do with risk. For others of you, you have to kind of think about it for a minute because it might not be immediately obvious. But if you dig a few levels deeper, that's really what you're providing. So I hope that helps you. And now we are on to the 7. So for the type 7, I'm a type 7. So I know that if you're like me and you are like me as a 7, in that focus is very important because you are a generalist. You have many skills, you have many strengths. So focus yourself on just a few things that you want to emphasize for this review, and just a few things that you want your manager to remember you for, because you know that you do 10 different things, but it's hard for the manager or the organization to keep track of all that. It's easier if they can kind of, put a label on you. So choose which label, like 3 labels maximum that you want to be known for. And it's definitely something to do with exploring possibilities. So it could be that you're starting new initiatives, that you're helping the organization innovate, that you are recruiting and bringing a lot of great new people into the organization. You're helping move things forward. So that, you're doing that. That's fun for you to do that. So kind of like with the other types that I advised, get really clear on how all that work that you're doing is really helping your manager and your organization. It is, but just take some time to really sit down and focus and be really clear and have like a elevator pitch on how this is going to be furthering your manager's career and how it's going to be furthering the organization, all this exploration and pushing the envelope and innovating that you're doing, because to you, it may be more obvious than it is to other people. So hopefully that's clear for you. If you understand what I'm telling you, I think you do. And then number 8, the 8 asserter. I gave advice to the type 5 that they might want to break off and start their own firm. The 8 asserter, you might want to break off and start your own firm at some point. But right now, if you are in the organization, you're the most likely, this may not be happening to you this year, but 8s like you are the most common people to be asked to receive coaching. And like a lot of executive coaching money goes towards type 8 asserters. And hey, embrace it. It's more resources for you, like that's great. Lucky you get more resources than other people. But basically it's because you're the least scared of conflict compared to most people. And some of your attempt to be direct and speak the truth comes across more harshly or stronger or more scarier than you may even intend. It is what it is. So don't worry too much about that. Although you could put something nice about it in your, so make your manager feel happy that you're working on it. You could put something about that in the goals for next year. Kind of like the EQ. I don't know if you guys have watched the first video I did on this, but for the type 3, they need to talk about their emotional intelligence. And you can do that too as a leader, and say that you're continuing to develop your emotional intelligence about how other people who may are not as comfortable as being as direct as you, and how you have to kind of like have some patience for other people and be understanding of them. But really, you're very valuable for asserting boundaries. So that could be in terms of numbers and budget. That can be in terms of negotiation. That can be in terms of fighting for justice and what's right. So it kind of depends on what field that you're in. But you're going to have one of the easiest times, I think, to articulate that in terms of what is the benefit to the organization, to the ROI, because you are good at clarifying stuff and making it clear boundaries, clear definitions. So you may have already done this, but just keep on keeping on. Like, take all that great work you're doing that's asserting boundaries and show how that is hitting the bottom line and how that's helping your manager. And try to be humble about some of the, if you feel like you're getting a little bit of negative feedback about your directness, like, don't worry about it. It just comes with the territory, but just be humble about it and show that you have EQ and that you're continuing to learn and grow about other people. And then finally, the type 9. So I feel like in this video, as I'm talking to each of you, you as the 9 and the 4, you might each need to, and maybe the 5, like you guys may need to work a little bit harder than most to channel your inner 3, achieving a successful image. Like, as a type 9, you are already so appreciated as a team member, so appreciated as being like the glue that kind of glues everybody together. You are so important to the organization. People appreciate you a ton already. So you're at a good starting point. So in terms of how to get you to the next level and really knock us out of the park so that you get a promotion and you make more money next year, this is one of the go-tos you could do, is go to your broad perspective, in that you are able, kind of like the type 7, that you can synthesize many different types of information, many different skills, all packaged into one amazing you. And remind your manager, remind the organization of that. And it won't be hard because you've been doing this for the whole last year. So you're bringing in a little bit of this and a little bit of that, a little bit of that, and you're putting it all together and holding all the teams together and fostering communication. So take all that great synthesizing and teamwork that you're doing, and your manager already trusts you, I imagine, because you already have a great approach. So show how this is unique, because it is unique. And you may be taking it for granted. What you're doing is very different than the other 8 types that I just talked about. Maybe look at all the other types. This is a good thing for you to do because you have a broad perspective. Listen to how each of those other types are standing out, and know that you're standing out in a different way. You're standing out in the way that you're bringing together so many different skills and achievements and holding the team together. And so that combination, think of yourself as like, you're the whole package. You really are. You're the whole package. And so know that that is extremely valuable. Do not undervalue that if you haven't been undervaluing it right now. It's more valuable than you may know. Definitely worth the promotion. So anyway, with that, everyone, please put comments for me, because based on your comments and your questions, you'll give me ideas for more videos that you'd like. You'd like me to drill down on any of this stuff. And best wishes for your annual performance review.